Continuing in today's lesson, our unit on linear functions. Now, if you might remember from earlier in the unit, we graphed lines by creating a table of values. It's not the most efficient way to graph lines. So we're going to use a couple of different methods today to graph lines that are much easier to deal with. So let's recall a couple of things. Slope, which is the lowercase script m, is the difference in y values over the difference in x values, or what's the little formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, we've already dealt and worked with slope. Now the y-intercept means where the line intercepts the y-axis. That's why it's called the y-intercept. It is the coordinate 0, y. Okay? Because if you are on the y-axis, every x value is going to be 0. Okay? Now, slope-intercept form, you actually have dealt with this when we were asking you to solve equations for y equals. It's the form y equals mx plus b. Okay? And m is the slope, and b is your y-intercept. Okay? There's only one slope and one y-intercept for a line, but there's an infinite number of points. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. A and b are coefficients, okay, numbers in front of variables. C is a constant, number without a variable. Okay? So let's do some practice. I want to determine the slope and the y-intercept for each of these four equations. Well, the first one is already nicely set up for me because it already has y by itself. All right? What's m? M is the value in front of x, so it's 2. B is the value with no variable attached, -3. In the second example, m is -1, b is +5. All right? It's as straightforward as that. Now, in the third example, unfortunately, we don't have the y by itself, so I need to do that first. Like we did before, we want to get rid of the x. And divide everything by 5. So my final equation is y equals -3 over 5x plus 2. Now I already have it set up in y slope-intercept form. So what's my slope? The number in front of x. What's my y-intercept? The number with no variable. And then lastly, I want to solve this for y. -3y equals -2x plus 12. Divide everything by -3. A double negative becomes a positive. So what's my slope? It's a positive 2/3, and my y-intercept is a -4. Now, why are we bothering to learn that? Because now you're going to see how much simpler it is to graph. All right? So, in the first one, I have the equation y equals -2/3 x plus 4. What's my slope? -2 over 3. What's my y-intercept? It's 4. As we've talked about, you only need 2 points to graph a line. Well, what's the first point? I'm going to plot the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 4. That means it's 4 units up on the y-axis. I'm going to then find a second coordinate using the slope. Okay? Now, you count from the y-intercept. You don't start at the origin to do this. The numerator for my slope is up or down. So this is telling me 2, I'm going to go either up or down 2. It is your choice. The denominator, right or left. Now, since this slope is negative, you've got to be careful. All right? If I go up 2, which is a positive movement, I then have to go left 3 to get a negative movement. Okay? Or I could go down 2, which is negative movement, and to the right 3, which is positive. I only need to do one of those 2 points, but I just demonstrated both of them just to make it clear how you do that. Okay? Now, the next one, it's not set up yet. I have to add 4x to both sides. So my slope is 4. My y-intercept is 0. If my slope is an integer, remember your denominator is always 1. My y-intercept is 0, which means it's the origin. And I'm going to go up 4 and to the right 1 because it's a positive slope. And if you might remember early in this unit, we talked about lines going up to the right are positive or up to the left is negative. Now, if I give you the equation in standard form, it sometimes is easier or helpful to graph by using the x and the y-intercept. Let's do the y-intercept first. We've already talked about it. It's where the line crosses the y-axis. And we said it's always going to be 0, comma, y. Well, what do you think the x-intercept means? Well, it's just similar. Where the line crosses the x-axis. And what will be true there? It's going to be x, comma, 0. So what you can simply do, because the numbers work so nicely here, is for the x-intercept, take this equation and put 0 in for y and solve. So I know my x-intercept is the coordinate 2, comma, 0, which is right here. And then I'll do the same or similar concept for the y-intercept. I put 0 in for x. And I get negative 3 on the y-axis, and there is my line. Okay? Final example. I'm going to do the same thing here. So for my x-intercept, y is 0. In other words, I'm trying to figure out what x is going to be, all right, when y is 0. Well, x is going to be 3. That's here. And now I want to know what y is when x is 0. That means y is 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I could draw my line. So what we covered today was how to graph lines by using the slope and the y-intercept when it's in slope-intercept form, or finding the x and the y-intercept when it's in standard form.